What inspires you?
I want to help people learn to be happier. And so I said, I'm going to write a book like 12 Pillars where people can pick it up and read it in 3 hours and give it to those people who don't usually read, as well as those people who love to read, and really get something out of it right away. Like, I'm just going to get tips right away out of it that I can use tomorrow and change my life for the better. And so that's what inspired me. So thank you, Chris.
Now, what does it mean in your life to, like, if you had to say, this is why my life is a 10 plus, I want to know what those are.
Why is my life a 10 plus?
Mm-hmm.
My life is a 10 plus. I think, well, I feel happy in every area. My husband and I, we were talking the other day, and someone had asked the question for a seminar I was going to, list some problems. And I said, does this sound weird? I can't think of any. And he goes, I can't either. And I truly believe, of course, you know, something small. But I truly, and to me, sometimes my problems are when my friends have problems or my family has problems. Of course, then I say, you know, that's my problem too. I'm going to help you. But in general, I really truly feel that if I was to take every area, spirituality and social life and relationships and career and my family and rate it, I'm really, truly, genuinely happy in every area. But I think that is due to being totally conscious all the time, saying, you know, how am I living my life? Who am I spending time with? Who am I choosing to do business with? Who am I partnering up with? What am I doing? You know, am I having bad habits or good habits? Really just consciously always being aware and checking in. And the nice thing is if you get in the habit of doing that, you don't really have to anymore. It becomes like a natural thing that you just don't attract those things. You don't attract negativity anymore. And just years of working on myself, and I think just making that conscious choice, like I am going to make sure that my life is completely happy. And so, because I really do walk the walk and talk the talk, and of course I'm human and I have bad days and I get in a bad mood once in a while, but in general, I feel extraordinarily happy in every area. And so I genuinely want other people to too, and that's why I wrote the book. So.
You're just so eager to get rid of that microphone. That's not going to happen. So if you had to pick one thing out of the book that you thought that everybody that's sitting out here could take from it, the one thing that you just had to say, this is the, out of all the things that I've written, this is the one thing that I really want for them to take from it. And this is the one tip that they would use to do that. What would that be?
I have a favorite affirmation that I made up that it's kind of funny. It says, snails, turtles, and clams have shells and humans do not. So take off your shell and have the nerve to be yourself. And it's true. I think the biggest tip is just practice letting your true self out and being yourself. If you catch yourself worrying when you're going to go somewhere like, what is this person going to think? Or should I be this way here and this way here? Stop yourself and say, you know what? I'm just going to be myself. I'm just going to let myself out. And maybe there's always going to be that 40 to 60% that doesn't like it. But the right people are going to like it, and you're going to feel better, and you're going to be happier. And people are going to like you more. People love vulnerability. People love you just letting your true self out and being who you are. And so that's my biggest advice in the book, is just be yourself. And there's a lot of tips in there on how to get that out more.
Very good. You're free to give it away. Okay. Susie?
Yes.
I love the title of your book.
Thank you.
And I have to know, how did you come up with it?
Well.
Oh, and I love the cover of it. Hey, I'm sure everybody's seen the cover, right? Is it amazing or what? Okay, I love it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, my graphic designer wasn't able to be here tonight, but she's featured in some of the stories inside when I talk about health and nutrition, and when I went through a weight loss and she got me back into shape and getting sexy. So she's a graphic designer and physical fitness expert, and she had designed a cover, and the name went, you know, kind of around and around. It was first Health, Beauty, and Sex Appeal, and I talked about health, beauty, and sex appeal. And then it was Health, Beauty, and Sex Appeal, the Real Woman's Guide. So I just wanted to really appeal to every woman. And then it went back and forth, and Kim and I talked, and we talked about being sexy and fabulous. And so then it was sexy, fit, and fabulous. And then I was had to add on that at any age, but then I still knew that there was something. There's something like missing or something. And I knew for some reason that Amy was going to solve it. And since she's just a brilliant designer, she sent me to cover with Sexy Fit and Fab at any age. And I knew that Amy was going to solve it. And then it was just more fun. But then I added also my subtitle, which to me was very, very important. And it's Say Yes to Your Natural Beauty, being funny, always being funny, healthy, sexy, and inspired. So although it's, so fun to be sexy, fit, and fab, there's more to it. There's your natural beauty, your personality, being inspired.
One thing I had, when we were talking on the phone
Yes.
before we got to all of this, that I wanted to cover with you on
Okay.
the one thing that I love is when we were talking about it, because for those of you and I shared a little bit about, shortly after my daughter and I were living in the car and
Right.
gotten into Arbonne.
Yes.
And the one thing that she addresses and that we had talked about was, there's so many dynamics of being beautiful, which by the way, everybody in here is just so amazing. I look around and it's like a prerequisite to be in this room. You've got to be beautiful, apparently. So I guess that's a good thing. But we had talked about that, and you see people all the time, and you can put as much makeup on, do the right dress, do the right this, do the right that, and if you're not fixing what's in here, something's missing. And that's one thing that I took away from your book that I was reading. That's one thing I took away from it, is we shared that same belief system that you've also got to fix what's in here. You've got to identify what that is. And, you've got to start from every aspect. You've got to start from the woman within, or the man. You've got to start with the person within and find out what is it. Why do you feel? And because for some, even at times, I'm sure for all of us, we've gone through insecurities. At some point, we've all been teenagers.
All of us.
So,
And I talked to several
I've been through
about these
it. And you and I
issues.
talked about that. That's why you're so funny.
And women like to talk about it because then we feel like, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one that thinks that my arms don't look good in pictures, or that, I need Botox, or, right? So I wouldn't think these different things, but we think that I'm the only one that thinks this. I'm gonna be like a freak if I say it out loud. And, we got to know each other in a quick conversation, and I say things out loud. And
I like that.
sometimes it's a little bit inappropriate, and, my girlfriends will attest to that, but then they go,
It's not inappropriate,
but
because you're being you and you're
they
funny.
say, oh, I could do that stuff too. And it's like, well, the funny thing that I do is, or how I really feel. And then when we go, oh, women just feel that way, then it's like, big deal then. Who cares? Then you don't have to be so self-conscious. And then you realize there's so much more to it.
That is true.
Yep.
And that's what you, now, if you were to say, this is my favorite tip, what would you say it would be?
My favorite tip is my first one. Danielle sees me looking at her. Because she knows that she's part of what inspired his first tip.
Oh, I gotta hear this one.
And, yeah, but it's one of, there's the 8 essences in my book, and that was the other thing that Amy, the graphic designer, she read it and she said, it's gotta be sexy, it's gotta be fun. She said, but your 8 essences, she said, that has to be on the front somewhere. She said, because it's not just sexy. So I'll just say real quickly, the 8 essences are spirit, nutrition, health, exercise, education, personality, following your passions, grooming, and sex appeal. And so I had to start off with the book with the most important part. And a few years ago, we all go through different things in life, and then we come full circle. And it was just, I was going through so many different things, and Danielle said, I have this book for you, you have to read it, and I'm giving it to all of my friends. So she was another one of those, and she said, it's Joel Osteen's It's Your Time. She said, it's your time. And I read it, and it was exactly what you were saying. Once you start practicing gratitude, your life is going to change, and it's going to change in an amazing way. So Danielle inspired this spirit in me, and that's my biggest tip. And
You're
that's my
so
favorite
alive.
chapter.
I have to say that. Isn't she so alive?
too, with, you know, and everybody sees it a different way, and it's like, ooh, you write a sex appeal book. So a lot of times I'll say, oh, my book's about health and beauty, because sometimes they get different notions. And then I was a little bit self-conscious with this sex appeal book, and then at first I changed it to spirit. I just thought that sounded stronger, but it was spirituality, and I thought, how are people going to take this? That they're trying to figure out how to be sexy. They want these sex appeal tips, and okay, you need to practice gratitude. You need to be in touch with your spirit first.
Yeah, that is so true. And it's very, for any of you who haven't read it, it's definitely a must read. I read it, it's great.
Yes.
So that you feel like you want to share with the audience.
Well, I do want to. And it happened like through the course of, in our mastermind group with Claudia, and being involved with Kim and being involved in Kim's book. So immediately after Kim and I met, she said, you know, I know that you're a writer, you know, I'm a writer in the beauty industry. And she said, will you edit my book? Of course I will. So I was editing Kim's book, and we were getting all ready, and then through it, I was working on my own book. And then the time would come that, okay, our books are just about ready, and I said, well, I'm just publishing my own. You know, I did a children's book 6-7 years ago, and I already have my ISBN numbers. I already know how to do it. I'll have to do some more research, but I'm publishing it. So just publish. Okay, so we had our plan, and then I also have, although I work for a beauty company, I also, on the back burner, I've got my business Get Branded, where I do marketing, branding, and copywriting. And what my like slogan or tagline is, dream it, brand it.
Oh,
so it's very
that's good.
important. You gotta dream it and then you gotta brand it. And so then Kim and I talked, and I said, well, you know, I don't want my old publishing names, but it's got to be Get Branded, and we said Get Branded Press. And then I said, well, I'm publishing me, and I'm helping you. Why don't I just publish you? So she said yes, and Kim did a lot of the promoting for everything, and so I published both of us. I edited both of us, worked out the whole interior design for us, and our layouts, our headlines, and everything. And it was awesome. And throughout this process, a lot of people knew what we were working on, and everyone said, well, I want to write a book. And I was meeting a lot of, you know, experts in their fields or speakers, and they're like, I mean to write a book, but I'm not sure what to do. And it just is this dream in me. I was just, you know, just like in beauty. I just want to help people. And I want their natural beauty to come out. And I want everyone's perfect self-expression to come out. And Kim and I had talked about this, and we started to create a plan. And I said, well, what I want to do, you know, our books are so important, that needs to happen first. And then come June, I'm going to start teaching writing classes, so writing workshops, and so that will be part of Get Branded, but that will be Get Branded Right.
Well,
W-R-I-T-E.
It's interesting. How many of you have written a book? And how many of you, if you could, and it was just like pretty easy, would love to write a book? So lots of people still ready to do it out there. That's cool. It's cool, interesting.
Yeah. So to me, it's so much fun, and people want to know, what do I offer? So, you know, I offer ghostwriting, editing, headlines, inside layout, and then I'll also be teaching how to write a book and how to outline, and then also how to publish. So while I publish mine and Kim's books, you know, so people start to get up, but I'm not publishing other authors at this time. I'm not set up that way, but I am set up to do workshops and show them how they can do it themselves and hold their hand along the way while they get published.
I like to call that you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. But now I have one more question.
Yes.
I'm going to be hold on to that for a while.
We don't mind.
If you had to say, this was my aha moment, or my pivotal point, or this is when someone turned on that breaker switch inside of me, what would that have been? What was it? What was that thing, that one thing that turned your light on?
Thanks a lot. You're just going to make all of us cry. Well, at first I was thinking, you know, I didn't know if you were talking about like a moment in the last year, the last 2 years, then I kind of got where you're going at with that and what you had said. And I think that part of also where I've come with this journey, what I was just talking about with Get Branded Press, Get Branded Right, and what I do is I grew up in a really large family. And I was the ninth of 10. Irish Catholic, and people that hear Irish Catholic, and if you are, you know what that means. You know that your dad worked 60, 70 hours a week. You know that your mom stayed at home, if she could, and you went to Catholic school, and you had your school uniform, and your life was hand-me-downs. You didn't exactly know that at the time. You kind of got excited. You got to wear the big sister's outfits. But throughout this, my mom just always inspired my creativity. And I kind of think that, you know, a few years ago it occurred to me, I probably didn't draw that great, and my stories might not have been that wonderful when I was 5 and 3, but my mom told me they were, and she said, go write 5 more. And I said, but I made a mistake on this picture. That's okay, you can fix it, draw another one. And so I did. So I kind of think, you know, I kind of think she wanted to get me out of her hair. There were all these kids.
What a blessing it came out to be.
But she did it in a nice way. And so I always had confidence in my writing, in my artistic abilities, in, you know, beauty and acting and speaking and all of this. And once again, coming from that big of a family, you kind of know a lot of things are hand-me-downs. And I was raised on, you know, and my mom, she had all these kids. And when she was 49, then she went and started with Avon, and she kind of had her own estate, and she finally got a driver's license. But I kind of looked and I just saw that this woman, all she did was raise all these kids, and a lot of them were ungrateful. And there's all types. There's all types in this family. But I didn't want that. I didn't want that for me. And she always said, you know, do it. You should do it. You should go do cheerleading. Go do softball. Go do theater. Go do pageants. Go do acting. Go do art. Go do write. Go do beauty. So I did, and I did all of them. But there was always another thing was you kind of have to figure out how to do it though. You know, we don't really have the money, so go the paper route. Or I went door to door and I painted rocks and I sold them to my neighbors. But I learned at an early age that I can figure out how to do these things. And we were talking to Chris Weicker last night, and I was telling him, you know, this is such an amazing evening tonight. We have a red carpet event, and everything that what we did with our publishing, I did it on no budget. It was just a dream and faith.
See, and that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. You're showing up for your dreams just by being here. You're going to go after them.
You don't always have to know how it's going to happen. And one of my friends had asked me in November, and I said, well, I'm going to publish Kim and I, you know, Get Branded Press, and, you know, we're not watching it. And Marcia said, how are you going to do that? And I said, I don't know. I'm going to study.
You know the blue Lincoln MK7? No?
And
80% is the why,
we just did it.
20% is the mechanics.
Yes. So all of you, please have the confidence to whatever that little dream is, or if you're not sure, find out what it is and just know that you can do it. And it might not always be on schedule. It might not be exactly what you thought it was going to be, but it's going to be amazing.
You're awesome.
I was sitting at the fire station waiting to go into vote.
Claudia, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Stand up for a second, please.
Beautiful lady.
Is this one of you?
I'm waiting to go into vote, and we're discussing the title of the book. They were going over and over, and I almost forgot to go vote. I almost pulled my car out and almost went home. Anyway, it was exciting to watch her on this journey, and I'm very proud of it. It's amazing.
So my question is, because when I first heard the title, because when you called, I had, my emails get so lost, as we were talking about before. Because they get so many, they just get kind of lost in the shuffle, and I have to literally like type in names if I know that I'm expecting an email from somebody. It's like, okay, there it is. And so I didn't know. When you and I were talking on the phone, you said, oh yeah, the title of my book is, you know, From Dud to Stud. I was like, wow, that's a racy title. That's a pretty cool title. How'd you come up with that? So, how'd you come up with that?
Well, actually, it's been a pretty exciting journey, and I imagine most of the women in here would have loved to have been on that journey with me. professional and personal growth and development into the high school when I was teaching marketing. And I just saw the benefit that people had when they began to believe in themselves. But most of my audience was more women. But then a man was interviewing me, and he said, "Oh, you need to write a book." And I said, "Oh, I could do that. I have a whole course for women." And he said, "Oh, no, you need to write a book for the men." And I said, "Okay." And I was just sharing with somebody earlier tonight about, I learned so much about the power of saying yes when it's in line with your purpose. And I've always known my purpose. I've known it since I was young. Is that my purpose is to inspire others to reach for their best. And I get very moved. That's what makes my life juicy every day. Is because I know every day something's going to happen, that it's going to come back to me, that I'm going to hear the difference that something that's been said made in somebody's life. So even teaching high school, I know that seems like that was probably a hard job. Think about the opportunity to inspire somebody every day.
Yeah.
I also, my husband of almost 52 years is here with me. That's made my journey very exciting and very powerful because I've known I've had somebody right there supporting me the whole way and being my great cheerleader. And I believe that it's important that somebody's in your life that is your cheerleader. And when you and I talked, we talked about balcony people. And I have balcony people in my life, and we all do. You do too. Somebody that sees something in you that you don't see in yourself. And that's what I want to be for other people, is that balcony person. And for me, when I was, actually started when I was young, my father had that kind of belief in me, and he taught me about being an entrepreneur. And he died when I was 11. And, I know that sounds sad, and it of course was, but it empowered me to move into a direction to live powerfully because what he had given to me. And for those of you that are parents, I want to tell you how much you accomplished in those first 11 years with your kids. Because who I am today came out of those first 11 years. And it's just been built on. And it's kind of cool because it's exponential. Like putting money in a bank account, that building on became, more powerful every year. So I want to encourage you as parents to put that investment in your kids in those first years. I know the high school years are tough. I know that. and that's the kids I got in high school. But I want you to know that investment in your kids when they're young, you may not be able to stand them through the teenage years, but you did your job, and that they're going to become the people that they have the potential to be. And it's about people's possibilities. It really is. So when I was on this journey, you want me to tell the New York story?
Yes.
About going to New York?
I do.
You said you would like me to share that. And one of the most empowering things that happened to me on this journey, actually probably one of the most empowering things in my life, I said yes to doing the book. Carlos asked me to write the book. I said, okay. I walked away from saying okay. I wondered, what did I just do? Am I crazy? What am I doing? I had no clue. I had no title. I had nothing in my mind except I had all this experience that I've been doing in corporate and teaching and so on. And I walked away, and 2 weeks later, I wake up with the idea of the title for the book. 2 weeks later, we're on a plane going to New York. My husband and I to see one of our sons and his family for Christmas. And I knew I needed to interview men to find out what was happening at this stage in each of the industries, what was expected to be successful, what was going to help somebody else become successful in each industry. But I had no idea how I was going to find that out. So we get on the plane, the last leg of our journey, heading to New York. And I'm sitting next to the window, Dale's in the center, and this blank seat. And this man asked if it was taken, and he goes, "If the door's closed," and I guess it's yours. The man sits down. I didn't even hesitate. This is the message, you guys. See, I'm getting excited. This is the message. I felt this nudge to say something. The door had hardly closed on the plane, if it was closed. I don't know if it was totally closed. I lean across Dale, and I say to this man, I said, "I noticed that you're dressed professional, and you're heading to New York." I said, "I'm writing this book called From Dud to Stud." I didn't even have the rest of it, Revving Up for Success yet. It's about professional and personal growth for men. And I said, "I would love to interview you. Would you be interested?" He leans across Dale. Now we're both nose to nose. And he's saying to me, "I love that kind of stuff. I'm always working with my staff on that." He said, I love that." And then he gets this little tap from the flight attendant. She says, "You're in the wrong seat." Do we need to take a break and make an announcement?
Yeah, for 2 seconds, I'm sorry. Is there a guest with a Lincoln MK7 in your party? Huh?
I'll take it.
It needs to be moved if there is.
They mean it's a car, you guys.
Okay. Nobody?
Is it yours, Lou?
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a light blue.
Oh.
Lincoln MK7? MKX, sorry. I can move it for you if you like.
Okay, continue, Claudia.
Yes, please.
So moving on, stay with me, that's what I used to do with my students. So here it goes. So he gets pumped from that seat, but right away he said, "You have a business card." So all I had on me was also a health coach. I gave him my health coach card. And he goes to the back of the plane and emails me. And I get to New York, we get to New York, and I check my emails, and he had already contacted me, and he said, do you still want to interview me, and do you want to talk face-to-face, or do you want to do it on the phone? Well, of course, I said I want to be face-to-face, and I sent that back. I didn't even look any further about his credentials. Sent the email, scroll to the bottom of the page, and here it said he was vice president of Deutsche Bank on Wall Street. So now, he emails back and he said, "We'll have a power lunch," and he told me the restaurant. I had no clue what a power lunch was. And also,
What did that woohoo really look like?
what?
The woohoo. What did it really look like at that moment? Show me the real woohoo.
Oh, it was like, wow. I mean, it just really was. Wow. It gets better. So I know in New York on Wall Street you gotta wear black. If you're in black, you're gonna be okay. Now I didn't go dress professional, and I know what that's all about. I taught that corporate level and all that. I know how to dress professional, and so I knew I wasn't prepared. But I had a long black coat, a black turtleneck, black jeans, and black heels. I was in. So now I walked the street, Wall Street. I mean, it's amazing just to walk Wall Street. I went to this restaurant, and I met him for lunch, power lunch, which I found out is, you eat fast and talk, or eat little and talk a lot, and have this great, amazing conversation. But this is the cool part. Such a cool part. I walked away from that meeting, and now, this is the funny part. My daughter-in-law would not pick me up there because she didn't want to see me in a family van. So she said, "Meet me at the waterfront." So I walked to the waterfront, and I'm walking down Wall Street after this meeting in my long black coat, black heels, black turtleneck. And I said to myself, I felt so empowered that I felt 10 foot tall. Well, maybe 5'11". Anyway, I'm not quite 5'2", so that seems like. Anyway, so I'm walking down Wall Street, and I thought, my gosh, this book has so much more potential than I realized. There's so much more here, and I'm on a powerful journey. And so I just said to God, I don't know where you're taking me, but I'm on a horse without a bridle. I'm just going to hold on to the mane, and I don't know where we're going, but I'm going to love this journey. It's going to be so much fun. And by golly, it was so much fun.
Is.
Yeah. It still is. And, I got to meet 11 more amazing men that I interviewed for the book. And people say, "How did you find them?" And I said, "They just showed up." They just did because I was in line with my purpose. And the book covers a lot of that. But the book is inspirational about reaching for your dreams. And everybody knows pretty much what your dreams are, but we kind of let them get fogged over because we think we can't do them, and we just kind of cover them up. But if we really do look at what our dreams are, and I call them like your mountaintop experience, most of us have had that experience at some point, your mountaintop experience. And you're traveling that journey on your mountaintop, and you get there, and a bus went by, and you found out that there was a road to that mountaintop, and you didn't have to climb that mountaintop. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yes.
I'm the bus.
Yes.
I'm the bus. you because that makes my life juicy. And this is what I do every day.
I love my life!